For those who are unfamiliar, this is Andrew Tate. He is cringe incarnate. I'm sure you probably know who this guy is, but just in case you don't, let me give you the introduction that I had to the guy. Presented without comment. Just listen to what he had to say about eating food or ordering food like a real G. This is from July 11th, 2022 when he put this out. Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. We're going to be playing Breath of the Wild 2 while we go. I'm just going to be hitting a couple of shrines. So,
if you ever see a man who's talking about food, oh, I had this amazing steak at this one restaurant. This steak is so amazing. He's broke. He's a brokey. Because if the steak was so amazing, he'd eat it every day.
Well, that doesn't really make any sense. I mean, I love cheese. I love this old crock type of cheese, and I can eat as much as I want. I can eat it every day if I choose. I choose not to because I will get burned out on it if I eat it every day. Like, the dude apparently doesn't understand moderation.
He'd eat every day to the point where he doesn't want to talk about it anymore. But he doesn't do that because he can't afford it. You understand? So,
just ridiculous, obnoxious, and dumb as dog shit. I'm sorry, man.
Never seen anyone talking about bragging about the meal they cooked or this ingredient they got or that steak they had. Just do, because people do that to me all the time. And I'm just sitting there going, you're poor. Interesting. Oh, you're broke. Yes, okay.
As if this is something that you should even care about. I don't care if people are poor. I've been poor. In fact, I'm not. Okay, here's the thing. Like, either you can have a lot of money or you can live in New York City, one or the other. If you live in New York City, you're going to be broke. That's just what it is. This guy is entirely too obsessed with, brokies, as he calls them. It's just embarrassing.
Oh, you went on your birthday and had that steak. Oh, wow. Once a year. Broke talk. Brokies. Real G's. Every day. Minor. Ain't a thing.
He literally says brokies. So anyway, that's Andrew Tate, if you were unfamiliar. Well, he ended up going to jail and for human trafficking. And I downloaded the Romanian statutes and went through them. Everything that he's facing right now. Now, this is actually part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, don't sweat it. This stands independently of the rest. I'll provide context if it's missing. I just wanted to go through this BBC interview that he did with this woman and see what they had to say for themselves. He is currently defending himself against accusations that he took advantage of women, lied to them, and stole money from them. Something that he admits to directly on his website and in his book, his own book that he wrote. So anyway, let's listen to this, see what he has to say for himself here.
I already have, and we should move on. She's just trying to start an argument.
It's not only about the criminal allegations. It's a much bigger issue. You've got children's organisations in the UK. You've got rape organisations in the UK. You've got the police naming you by name as someone who has a harmful influence on children and on women in the UK and elsewhere because of the things you say, because of the way you present gender relations, the way you say men should treat women.
Absolutely. He's deeply harmful. And it's a ton of organizations, including but not limited to the police, as she said, that are calling him out and pointing out how harmful he really is. 100%.
That's very upsetting. And the reason that's very upsetting is I know that's not true. I'm genuinely a good person. I believe... No,
he's not.
My impact on the world is positive. In fact, if you were to read the comment section of nearly any video I post, especially by the legacy media, 95% of the population agree with me. Most people know that the things I say are positive. Legacy media as a whole has lost all its credibility in the last 3 to 4 years. Nobody believes it. And it's a shame. It's a massive shame that BBC come here and try and push and purport this idea that I'm a dangerous person. I'm anti-drugs. I've never pushed drugs or any... I'm anti-drugs. I'm anti-violence.
Look, anti-violence. I don't know about that one. Nobody is accusing you of promoting drugs. Do you think that's what this is all about? I'm sorry, you must misunderstand. We aren't complaining about the idea that you're promoting drugs. That was never the problem. You know what the problem was? The problem is your treatment of women, the things that you say about them, your philosophy on life that you're spreading to young, innocent boys who don't know any better. That's the problem.
I'm anti-drugs, I'm anti-violence. We're the UK.
He's not anti-violence. He talks about violence constantly and how great it is. What is going on with Breath of the Wild right now? Why is it like loading still? Okay, that was weird. That loading took forever. It was super strange.
The UK is facing a knife crime epidemic, and they're going to sit here and say that I'm the most dangerous man in the UK.
Okay, I don't know that anybody called him the most dangerous man in the UK. Did anybody say that? And also, he's doing something called equivocating here. He's taking a word that had a specific meaning in a specific context, and he's changing that context, thus changing the meaning of the word, right? When people say he's the most dangerous, what they mean is he's a danger to society. He spreads a dangerous, harmful ideology that hurts people. The way he's using it is he's causing violence, or he is creating violence, or whatever, or he is violent, or whatever. That's the way he's using it. He's equivocating, changing the way that it's used.
Don't say you're the most dangerous man in the world.
I've said I'm the most dangerous man in the world.
You've also said that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner.
Yep, that's all true. He did say all of that stuff. Absolutely.
Glad you find that funny.
I find it funny that you're sitting here saying that I've said I'm the most dangerous man in the world, and you believe that's. When did I say that?
I'm asking if you believe it.
No, you said you're the most dangerous man in the world. Is that some kind of proof that I'm dangerous? Am I Dr. Evil now? I'm telling you that it's very upsetting that you're going to sit here and that certain organizations in the world are going to try and pretend that I'm the biggest force of evil on earth when I'm genuinely a force for good.
He's not a force for good. He's been deeply harmful to everything and everybody around him. As a matter of fact, we can look at statistics and see hate crimes go up when he releases videos about certain things. This is all well known and understood. And again, police, schools, various organizations like that have reported an uptick in problems with children, and those kids say it's because I learned it from Andrew Tate, for example. He is a blight on society, and I don't know why BBC gave him an interview in the first place. He went to jail for human trafficking. Why is anybody giving him an ounce of attention now? I mean, I'm giving him attention because someone else is, and I want to debunk the things he says. But this is disgusting, man.
I'm genuinely a force for good. And the reason they're doing this is because of the massive influence I have over the youth. And they don't like that I'm telling the youth to think outside the matrix and ignore things like the BBC, which come here with loaded questions and false narratives and try and paint innocent people as guilty.
Oh, my God. Yeah, definitely. People are coming after you and don't like you because you aren't controlled by the matrix. 100%. That's it. Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. Wow, man. Couldn't have said it better myself.
You said women's intimate parts belong to their male partner.
I said that if a woman marries a man, she takes his last name and traditionally the man gives her away. I've been pushing traditional religious beliefs because I'm a religious man and traditional beliefs in regards to marriage.
He claims to have adopted Islam not too long ago. I don't know. I think he's just using it to his advantage. I don't even think it's true.
Which everybody accepted 10 to 15 years ago.
So
that's not a crazy conspiracy theory. If you're going to sit here and say that me believing a woman should take a man's last name in marriage makes me the most dangerous.
That's not what she said. She said what you said was that a woman's body physically belongs to the man and he can use it any way that he wants once they're married. That she has no more autonomy over herself anymore when they get married. You see how he kind of switched that up a little bit?
Believing a woman should take a man's last name in marriage makes me the most dangerous man in the world.
No one said that was a problem.
Then you're just going to lose even more credibility than the BBC's already lost in the last 4 to 5 years. If that's your point, if that's your narrative you want to push,
say that
good
men
luck.
should be able to sleep with a lot of women outside marriage. That doesn't sound very religious. Or
That's not what I said they should be able to. I said a lot of high-value men, a lot of rich men do it, and then we do.
No, he says that they should. In fact, you know what? I have that clip. Let's take a look at that. Let's just listen to the context one more time, listen to her question, and then I'll show the clip.
Point. If that's your narrative you want to
also
push,
say that
good
men
luck.
should be able to sleep with a lot of women outside marriage. That doesn't sound very religious. Or
That's not what I said they should be able to. I said a lot of high-value men, a lot of rich men do it. And then we discussed at length on podcasts why rich men do it. And we also discussed why women decide to be unfaithful.
Okay, let's listen to exactly what he said, because I happen to have that exact clip here available. This is from December 25th, Christmas Day, 2022. He was on here with Brittany Renner and some other people. This is, God, what's her name? Just Pearly Things, the channel. Pearl something or other is her name. Listen to what Andrew Tate had to say when asked this exact question.
Is cheating morally correct?
Yes.
Depends.
Yes.
How
So
can
you're
you say?
okay-
How can
you're
you
okay.
say that? Are you
You're
joking?
okay with your woman cheating on you then?
Absolutely not. That's haram.
No, because
Oh, it's around when she cheats on you, but you can cheat on her.
There has not been in the history of humanity, across any culture, any book, any story, any fable, there has never been across the history of humanity any respect put on the name of a promiscuous female ever. Ever. You name the biggest conquerors that you can possibly name from history. Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, all of them. They all had 100 wives, bunch of children, Big G, conquered the world. Normal.
So, wow, dude. Actually, they were, well, Genghis Khan at the very least. I don't know about the others he listed, but Genghis Khan was famous for raping people, not for having a bunch of kids and being a top G. This is just evil and disgusting and grotesque, honestly. What's wrong with this dude? So he specifically said it is virtuous, it is good, it is moral for a man to cheat on a woman. It is normal. He should. And he says it's haram, which means dirty. It's dirty for a woman to do it to a man.
It's not a gendered argument. We discussed unfaithfulness as a whole. What are the reasons and motivations for men? What are the reasons and motivations for women? Because you have no time to actually, watch my content. Because you have no time to actually watch my content.
Oh, no. People seen plenty of the content. That's not the problem.
And understand what I'm saying. You just come here with a small snippet which we provided to you on a piece of paper.
Times doesn't make it true.
No, completely. You don't have a clue what I say or what I talk about. You never watch my content. You have small pieces of paper.
He doesn't know that. She may have seen all kinds of his content. Probably has, honestly.
Small clips on a piece of paper, and you're trying to pretend I've said evil things. And then you're going to say I'm the most dangerous man in the world, which is truly laughable.
You said that, not me.
Okay. Do you believe I'm the most dangerous man in the world, Lucy?
I'm not answering your questions.
Well, then we need to change the dynamic of this interview because, and I'll make this clear, I allowed you into my home. I'm doing you a favor.
No, she's doing him a favor. He has completely lost relevance since going to prison. Now, he's been let out temporarily on bail while they investigate and everything else. But honestly, I think there's a high likelihood he's going to go to jail for 10 years. Truly, I really think that. If it was in the United States, I don't think so. But it's not in the U.S. It's in Romania. I suspect he might get a really long sentence for describing the crimes that he committed.
First interview I'm giving to the public. You don't come here with...
Oh, sorry. Let's step back, listen to the context on this.
I allowed you into my home. I'm doing you a favor, giving you the first interview I'm giving to the public. You don't come here with a position of authority. You're not the police. I don't respect the BBC. I don't know you. You do not come here with a position of authority over me. We are equals. We are people. We're citizens of the world, and we sit here as equals. And I see you as my equal, and if you ask me questions, I can ask you questions back. For you to come here and sit down and pretend you're the Gestapo and that you don't have to answer my questions is disingenuous because I don't owe you anything.
The Gestapo? He says the Gestapo won't let people ask questions or won't answer questions or something like that. Is that what he said? Did he just call her a Nazi because she wouldn't answer a question of his? You must be joking. Like, this dude is ridiculous and lives in an alternate reality, honestly.
Asking questions and you answer.
But I don't owe, no,
however you want.
this is a conversation. And I don't owe you any degree of authority over me. So let's make that clear. And that doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman.
It doesn't, no one is taking authority over you. What are you talking about? Nobody ever said they had authority over you. So it isn't about authority. This is about giving your stupid ass an interview and giving you more attention than you deserve. Okay? That's what this was about. And you're sitting here refusing to answer the questions. Certainly not answering them truthfully. It's just absurd, dude. Absurd on every level.
From the BBC or the CNN. I'm here to answer your questions and be honest with you and do you a favor.
Correct.
And I'm doing you a favor.
No, BBC is doing you a favor. Distinct difference.
You come here with loaded questions. You're trying to paint a narrative of me, which is negative.
I'm asking you
And
about
that's
things
fine.
you've said that people are concerned about.
And that's fine.
You
But you're
have
not
said
going to sit here and
that
say you don't answer my questions because you're not above me.
This is also not supposed to be a third degree, it's supposed to be a conversation.
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry, it was really hard to understand. Let me step back. And what was it she said? This is also not supposed to be a big risk. You don't answer my questions because you're not above it. This is also not supposed to be a big risk. I don't understand. Did somebody mess up the captions? I don't know.
You don't answer my questions because you're not above me.
This is also not supposed to be a third degree, it's supposed to
Oh, I see. It was somebody else in the background saying this also isn't supposed to be a big risk. So this isn't supposed to be a risky interview. This isn't supposed to be like, you know, the type of interview that's combative, I guess is what they're saying. It was just somebody in the background saying that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, it would help if you answered the question.
I've answered every question so far.
Yeah, you've lied about it, and some of them he's refused to answer. He's twisted it around, pretended it, you know, he's something that he's not. He hasn't truthfully and honestly and straightforwardly answered questions, not a single one so far.
Let me ask you the question.
Sure.
You have said that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner, and if she goes on OnlyFans, he is entitled to a cut of her income.
Yep, that's what he said.
You are extremely, it's actually very confusing to me why you're going to sit here, take long format.
Dude, that was a quote. This is his whole defense. Every time he's criticized for something, he says, take long format podcasts I've done and clip them up and move the words around. No one's doing that. We're taking the words that you said in their context and pointing out how absolutely grotesque and evil it is that you say this stuff. There isn't any, like, trick to this, okay? No one is trying to, like, get one over on you or whatever. You said something that is a total scumbag thing to say. That's all. Own up to it. Accept that the thing that you said was a scumbag thing to say and that you believe scumbag things. And we can move on. Just absurd, man. This guy is something else.
Podcasts I've done, which are 3 or 4 hours long, in context where I've sat with OnlyFans girls, 10 or 15 OnlyFans girls, where we've been joking back and forth, ignore every comment and satirical comment and sarcastic comment that the females have made, and then come along and say, you said this, and you're the most...
It didn't happen like that. Andrew Tate, in all seriousness, said, like in the video that we watched a minute ago, it is moral for a man to cheat on his wife. He should, and it is immoral for a woman to cheat on a man. His words, that's what he said. There's no way to twist that around. And by the way, I watched this whole thing. It's on my channel. If you want to watch the whole podcast, you can see the whole thing. The scumbag stuff he said did not end there. It got even worse, if you can believe it. So I don't know what he is going on about here. Like, oh, he's innocent. You're just taking him out of context. Bullshit. He knows that's bullshit. He knows that this is just a thinly veiled defense for the disgusting shit that he said.
Is cheating morally correct?
Yes.
Depends.
Yes.
How
So
can
you're
you say?
okay-
How can
you're
you
okay.
say that? Are you
You're
joking?
okay with your woman cheating on you then?
Absolutely not. That's wrong.
No, because
Oh, it's a round when she cheats on you, but you can cheat on her.
There has not been in the history of humanity across any culture, any book, any story, any fable, there has never been across the history of humanity any respect put on the name of a promiscuous female ever.
So the point is, he's completely full of it. Always was. He is in favor of men cheating on women and mistreating them and everything else. These things are not misinterpreted because we didn't listen to the whole podcast. I listened to that whole podcast, and the audience listened to it with me. It was perfectly in context and disgusting.
Evil man in the world. I don't know if you understand what sarcasm is. I don't know if you understand what sarcasm is. I don't know if you understand what
He's saying it's sarcastic now.
context is. I don't know if you understand what satirical content.
So you're saying it's sarcastic?
I'm saying it was a very interesting talk show. And for you to sit here and say that that is my true core beliefs and that makes me a bad person is disingenuous.
Is it?
Of course not.
Was it sarcasm?
Absolutely. You should watch.
No, it wasn't. It was not sarcasm. I've watched through every last bit of this content. He believes this stuff. He repeats it regularly. This is kind of the Trump defense in some ways. When called on absolutely grotesque evil beliefs, you signal to a base, right? You signal to a group of people, I believe this thing, I like this thing, I want to do this or that or whatever. I think women should be barefoot in the kitchen. You signal to that base by saying that stuff. When called on it, you say, I was just joking. It was a joke. Can't you take a joke? This is a defense that has been used since the dawn of time. Just jokes, bro.
The show.
You were being sarcastic
You should-
when you said, let me just clarify.
You should
okay?
watch the show.
Let me clarify for the audience. You were being sarcastic when you said a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner.
No.
You didn't believe that.
No, it's not that. It's that you haven't watched the show at length, and you should have, because
What does that have to do with anything? I watched these shows at length, like a lot of them. Again, they're on my channel if you guys want to see them. I watched all of this stuff at length. There is no, like, context that corrects this or makes this look any better than it is.
you should have, because the woman was saying, my man's car belongs to me because he's my man. And she was on OnlyFans. And then 20 minutes later, when she said she was on OnlyFans, I said, well, you're selling your body, that belongs to him because he's your man. And she laughed. She laughed, and she said,
Well, that, see, I could buy that if that's the only time that he said it. It's not. He repeats this over and over and over again. Maybe not those specific words, but the idea that women belong to men, that they have an authority over the woman like a dog. His words, not mine. The fact that he says that stuff in the first place, absolutely disgusting. Inexcusable. What's wrong with this dude? What, is there anything like knocking around up there?
yeah, that's probably true. If you watch the show, it will make sense. For you to come here with doing no research at all.
No, I watched the show. It doesn't make any sense. It never made any sense. It was grotesque.
And then say, I don't understand what I'm talking about, but I've got this piece of paper with a few things printed off. That's why you're saying the silly things you're saying. You should watch the show. Do some research.
Do you believe it?
I've already answered the question.
He's banking on the idea that she didn't watch this stuff, and she might have bad information, but I'd bet anything that she did watch this stuff, that she is aware of the context. I'd bet anything she knows that he's lying about this and pretending that he's really a good guy and that he's just misunderstood. BBC reporters, they usually do their homework. BBC is a pretty good network generally.
Not really.
Of course I have. Can we move on? I've answered the question.
Do you believe that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male?
Of course not. I've just answered the question.
Well, he does, though. He does believe that. He's said that verbatim multiple times. And it wasn't a joke. It wasn't sarcasm. It wasn't out of context. It wasn't any of that. That's what he said, and that's what he believes. Now, he's appealing to a specific audience right now because he knows BBC is more moderate, more center-leftish kind of, and he knows that that position that women belong to men is not very popular among the audience. So he's going to pretend that he never said that, or at least never meant it. Absurd.
And does this woman believe that her man's car belongs to her? It's not a gendered argument. I really think that it's genuinely sad that when the BBC has a chance to finally interview me at the end of all this matrix stuff, that they don't come here with any kind of genuine openness to try and understand my influence over the world, or the things I push, or what I'm trying to teach the world, or why I'm a good influence on the world, because I am a massively good influence.
No, he isn't. He is a massively bad influence on the world, actually.
Said they come here with pieces of paper, with printed out excerpts from 5-year-old podcasts, taken out of context, to attempt the same matrix attack on me, which has been attempted endlessly. Every single person in legacy media has already tried this, and it doesn't work. I really encourage you to read the comment section on YouTube when this goes on YouTube, and you'll see that nobody believes a word you're saying.
Well, I mean, maybe nobody in your comments section agrees with BBC. That's not surprising. But, there are a lot of people out there that agree precisely with what she's saying. I'm just a little bit upset that she decided to interview him in the first place. I truly don't believe that she should have. I think she should have left it alone. She should let him stew in his own in his mess that he's made for himself here. He has no outlet at the moment, no way to like connect with other people because he's lost a lot of his fame. A lot of it has dropped off after his conviction or his his being jailed or whatever. After he was jailed, a lot of his influence fell off. And they're like lending him influence again. I'm just not a fan.
Asking you about these comments is because we've got the chief executive of Rape Crisis naming you individually as spreading a dangerous ideology of misogynistic rape culture.
Absolutely.
It's the comments you make that are leading people to say things like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's not absolute garbage. It's true. That's a factual statement that she just made.
Garbage.
National organizations who are saying that, blaming you for increasing levels of misogyny, schools that are saying they are having increased incidents of girls being attacked, of female teachers being harassed
If that was
by
true,
pupils
if that
because of you and your teaching.
well, that's absolute garbage. I have never ever encouraged a student to attack a teacher.
No, you never encouraged it, but you're encouraging a mindset that lends itself to it. He understands this, right? You can't convince me he doesn't know exactly how he is a negative influence on the world. He must know, but he's pretending to be completely ignorant. Oh, I have no idea. How could this thing that I say affect the rest of the world? I just can't imagine.
Or female ever. I preach hard work, discipline. I'm an athlete. I preach anti-drug. I preach religion. I preach no alcohol. I preach no knife crime. Every single problem with modern society.
Like, nobody cares about this. Is like a robber breaks into a house, steals a bunch of stuff and kills a guy in the process, goes to court, and the judge is talking about the things that he did, and he says, well, you haven't brought up that I gave my dad a birthday present. Why haven't you mentioned that? Nobody gives a shit if you gave your dad a birthday present. Nobody gives a shit if you talk about how drugs are harmful to society. Nobody cares. That's not what we're here to talk about. Okay, we're here to talk about the fact that you spread a harmful ideology to children, to minors. You want to talk about grooming? This is real grooming right here into a political ideology. Just disgusting. And he will do anything he can to avoid taking the consequences for his actions, for accepting the consequences to his actions.
I'm against. I'm teaching young men to be disciplined, to be diligent, to listen, to train, to work hard, to be exactly like me.
Okay, that's not a good thing, first of all. And second, I don't care what good things you're doing, supposedly. It's irrelevant. It means nothing. What I care about is the fact that you are causing massive damage to society. That's a problem to me.
With no criminal record, never even yet charged in this 14-month Matrix investigation. And I'm saying that if men grew up like me, which are hardworking and diligent and some emotional control and stoic, we're going to have a better society, not a worse society. To see.
Okay, it's just absurd, first of all. And second, he hasn't been charged yet, but there is an investigation ongoing, and the evidence that was presented to the judge was solid enough that the judge decided to hold him for something like 4 months for fear that he was going to skip town. I mean, he specifically said, Andrew Tate did, he said, I'm going to flee if I'm ever charged or convicted or whatever other thing. I'm going to run. He had like 20 passports or something like that. I forget exactly how many passports. Like, who has that many passports? That's insane. So it was totally reasonable to assume that he was planning to run. Now, apparently he isn't running, but he's going to lose. He's going to lose, and he's going to jail, almost certainly, unless he bribes somebody. That's the only way, because the evidence against him from his own lips is too damning. There's a video that wasn't originally public. It was originally part of it was called Hustlers University, Top G Academy or whatever the hell. There was a video that was originally part of that. It was not public, where he describes exactly how he went about manipulating women and lying to them and controlling them. And I have it, and we've covered it before. Like, this is not surprising. This is not hard to believe. The evidence is damning, and it's from his own lips. And he's been saying this stuff for like ever. He's been going on podcasts saying this stuff, okay? This is not like AI generated. This is just right off of his lips when he goes to YouTube channels and does like podcast appearances and stuff.
And say that schools in England, which is a failing nation, which has knife crime going through the roof, violence going through the roof, men's mental health going through the roof, and they're going to all blame me because I appeared on the internet 1 year ago.
Okay, no one is blaming him for all of those problems. But he is responsible for some problems in society.
It's disingenuous. It's disingenuous. And also,
financial
it's
success
correct.
with a Bugatti and a cigar, but it comes with a side order of misogyny.
How does having a Bugatti and a cigar come with misogyny?
Because it's all mixed together in what you teach. You teach that a woman, if a woman comes home and accuses you of cheating, you should hit her with a machete, shove her off.
Is that what I teach?
Yes, that is what you said specifically. Those are his own words. Now, what does he teach currently, quote unquote, teach? What does he teach about how you should treat women now? Well, it's simply wrong for a woman to cheat on a man, of course. I mean, we heard that earlier, but it's moral for a man to cheat on a woman. That's what he currently teaches about it.
That's what you say.
No, if you actually watch the clip, it will be about the woman attacking me with a machete. As usual, you've not watched the video, taken out of context, flipped it, and attempted to attack me with a small excerpt. Let me tell you something, Lucy. I'm sure you're a very nice person. I'm sure you're a fantastic person. But if I were to take everything you've ever said online and just take small excerpts out of context, I could make you look like a misogynist.
That's not what's happened. That happens sometimes. I give him that. That happens sometimes. I've seen some examples of people who had their words clipped up and moved around and changed to make it look as though they said something that they didn't. I've seen that. That's not what happened here. He's been repeating this same stuff for years at this point. I don't know why he's even denying it. I guess it's because he wants to kind of bring in like a more moderate audience. I mean, that's that's my best guess with the situation. I don't know what other reason he would have for like denying his ideology that he's been preaching about and teaching for like years at this point.
I guarantee it. In fact, I might actually do that. And then you're going to sit here and say, oh shit, I'm a misogynist because my clips have been taken out of context. If you refuse to watch anything at length and understand it, then that's what's going to happen.
The National Police Chiefs Lead for Violence Against Women, the NSPCC, Rape Crisis, Safer Schools, they are all naming you as being behind an epidemic of misogyny, even amongst primary school children.
The idea that I made primary school children misogynistic because I own a nice car.
That is not what anybody said. It was not about... I don't care what kind of car you own. That's not the problem here. Your car is irrelevant in this equation. It's about the fact that you specifically encourage misogyny. See how he does this? See how he makes it seem completely ridiculous when it's not? He reframes it to be something completely different.
Amongst primary school children.
The idea that I made primary school children misogynistic because I own a nice car. Is that your argument?
Misogyny that comes along with it.
Oh, owning a nice car is misogynist.
No, owning a car is misogynist. No, that's not what anybody is saying. That's not what anybody believes. It's completely taken out of context. And he knows that. He knows he is taking this woman out of context. But this is his best defense. What else is he going to say? What she's saying is true. He's a scumbag that encourages others to be scumbags also. How else does he respond to this but to strawman it and lie about it and twist it out of proportion? There's no other way to grapple with what she's saying. No other way to answer this, right?
The misogyny that comes along with it.
How does misogyny come along with owning a nice car?
Because you have an image of financial
I'm glad you're answering my questions now. We finally got the dynamic.
You have an image of financial
answering my questions, that's true.
Excuse me. You have an image
As she should. Oh my God, it's painful.
of financial success, but it comes along with attitudes towards women that are really problematic.
My attitudes towards women is that women should be protected and provided for, and I've said that at length. In fact, I've said that over 50 times online. You never mention it. I say that my girlfriend doesn't have to work unless she wants to. I take care of her. I die.
Again, like this is like the robber being arrested after murdering a guy and in jail, and in front of the judge, he says, "You're not bringing up the time I got my dad a birthday present. We don't care about that. That's not part of the equation." Great. You brought your dad a birthday present. Fantastic. I don't care.
To protect the woman. I've talked about how I've stood up and faced a knife to protect a woman.
And in return, you want authority over her in the way you have over a child or
Yeah, what she's saying here, actually, let me step back. Listen to it in its full context, and then I'll prove that that's exactly what he said.
Protect the woman. I've talked about how I've stood up and faced a knife to protect a woman.
And in return, you want authority over her in the way you have over a child or a dog.
Yep, and let me prove that one. This is from July 15th, 2022. And this isn't just the only example of it. He's said this over and over and over again.
I believe that as a man, I should pay for the first date. I believe I should open the car door. I believe I should protect her, provide for her. I believe if she's my woman, she should be able to come to me with her problems and I should fix them. That makes me a sexist and a horrible person. Fine.
It doesn't.
Right, exactly. Nobody has a problem with that so far.
You agree with the baseline. Everyone agrees with the foundations of what I say, but when I build on top of it, they try and pretend it's sexist. By extension, if I have responsibility over her, then I must have a degree of authority. For the same reason, if I have responsibility over, and everyone's going to lose their mind, it's an example, it's only an analogy. If I have responsibility over a child, I have to have some authority. You cannot be responsible for something that doesn't listen to you. You can't be responsible for a dog if it doesn't obey you, or a child if it doesn't obey you, or a woman doesn't obey you.
The super sexist path.
Cool.
Yeah, see, that's what she's referring to.
It's like a beautiful sports car. It doesn't matter. A house,
yeah,
land,
didn't help.
whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever I'm responsible for,
object.
I have to have a degree of authority over.
You get
right. He made it an object. That's really the problem here. Like he keeps comparing women to objects or animals or children and saying he has a responsibility to take care of women the same way he takes care of a child, and she has the responsibility to listen to him like a child would listen to an adult. That's what he's saying. That's the ideology that he has always espoused. Again, not the only time he said it. Not even close. He says this constantly. Or said before he stopped doing his media appearances. Just absurd, dude. Just admit to what you believe and move on with it.
To a point, I would think, where there's mutual respect. So there isn't like the authority. It's a give and take on a healthy relationship.
Correct. A healthy relationship has mutual respect. So in a healthy relationship, the man will say X and the woman will say, yeah, I agree with that. Okay, I won't do it. I'm not saying it has to be a command orders. I'm not saying that.
So anyways, yeah, that's Andrew Tate's position on women. Now listen to what he says here when she quotes that to him.
And in return, you want authority over her in the way you have over a child or a dog.
Absolutely not. I've said that women should be protected and provided for. And
in return, you want authority over her. Because if you have responsibility for someone like a child or a dog, you say, you have authority over them.
Yeah, that's a direct quote.
If you want to go down this argument, we'll go down this nuanced argument. I said that if I have responsibility for her safety, I should have a degree of authority over her safety. Meaning, and let me explain my point. If I'm the one who has to fight and die to protect her, I'm the one who decides how we walk home. I'm the one who decides the route we take. Because it's unfair for her to say, I want to walk through the most dangerous neighborhood in the world, but you have to face the knives. That's what I've said. And then you're going to sit here and pretend that I'm trying to treat women like dogs, which is garbage.
Okay, nobody said you treat women like dogs. That was not the point. They said you compare women to dogs. You view them as dogs. In fact, you've even said, they are like dogs or children or whatever. You don't have authority over a woman. That's not how it works, okay? It's just, disgusting, dude. The guy's ideology is disgusting and grotesque and inexcusable. And he's doing everything he can to excuse it.
Every single man in the world who loves this woman understands that he has to protect her. And every single woman in the world likes the idea of a man who would protect her. If you were to say to most women home right now, do you want your husband to protect you in a violent attack? They'd say, yeah, of course. Nothing I've said is misogynistic.
If you said to most women, would you...
You know who I want to protect me or my wife or whatever in a violent attack? The police. Why is he really in these situations? I've never been in a situation in my life where I've had to defend somebody against a violent attack or whatever. Like, how often does this happen in society, really? And why is he going to the areas in the first place? Him. Why is he going to the areas that put him at risk of being violently attacked or whatever? Like, this makes no sense at all. None. He's just looking for an excuse to control women, plain and simple. He's looking for an excuse to take control over them, like they're a child or a dog.
To most women, would you want to lose authority in the relationship, to not be treated as a free and legal equal to your...
I didn't say that. I said I need to have authority over the route we walk home.
Well, it was a question. She was asking him something, right?
You compare women and the authority over women that you believe you should have to having authority over a child or a dog. It's not the same, because a woman is a free, legal adult.
Correct.
You're equal.
Free, legal adult, my equal. But if I had a girlfriend, and we were walking home late at night, and I said, let's not walk down that area, it's a bad area, I have to protect you if anything happens, I want to take the long way. And she said, no, I have to walk this way, even though it's the most dangerous route, I must.
Then what?
And then I would say, you're welcome to, you could do it, you're a free, legal equal, but I'm not going to walk with you and protect you. I think that I should be able to decide the route, because I have an obligation. And
Well, I mean, part of any relationship is working together to come up with solutions that work for everybody. If you're with somebody who who puts you and themselves in danger, there may be maybe you need to have a conversation with them about that. But they're a free-thinking agent, and you should take their opinion into consideration. They're just as intelligent as you. I know Andrew Tate doesn't want to accept that, but there are lots and lots and lots of people just as intelligent as him, even more intelligent. Presumably, most people in relationships are going to be about on the same intellectual level, give or take, right? And Andrew Tate is making it out as though he should make the decisions. He's getting a wedge in. I should make the decisions in this specific circumstance, getting that wedge in. And then he's running with it and saying, I should make decisions in all circumstances. I make decisions in this one, and I should make them in all circumstances.
obligation as a man is to protect and provide for females. Everything I'm talking about is traditional gender roles, which 10 years ago, less than 10 years ago, would not be considered outlandish, would not be considered crazy, would not be considered dangerous or misogynistic.
Like, none of these things are dangerous, misogynistic, or whatever. I mean, a lot of this stuff kind of upholds an old style of doing things that is, outdated and antiquated and honestly kind of ridiculous. And I think we should definitely move past a lot of this, this patriarchal stuff that he's espousing. But it's not misogynistic to believe that you should take care of your wife or whatever. It's not misogynistic to try to, do what you can to help and benefit her or whatever. That's not misogynistic. The misogynistic part is comparing her to a dog or a child or a car and saying she has no place to make decisions. You make the decisions for her because you have authority over her. His whole position with this is, I have to put my life at risk to protect you. When? Got me. When does this ever happen? Who knows? So I have authority over you. I have the ability to tell you what to do in all things always, because I put my life at risk, or I might put my life at risk at some point, some unknown date. Again, I've never had to put my life at risk ever to protect my wife. It's never been in the equation. I mean, I'd certainly do it if that was part of the equation, but it's never been a problem. When has he ever done this stuff?
The world has changed, and a lot of people haven't changed with the world. Please understand, there's a lot of women at home watching this right now who like the idea of their man sticking up for them, protecting them, and providing for them. And just because the world has gone crazy and the legacy media has gone crazy, most people at home are still relatively sane. And these are the people who are going to write on the comments that Andrew was saying anything that's outlandish.
Wait, I'm sorry. Let me step back. See what they said? It was somebody in the background that said something just now. I couldn't understand. He outlined his case. It was from the early maturity of the camera. That's what the whole world believes. I don't understand what they're saying here, but okay, let's listen again.
Andrew was saying
There's a
anything that's
difference.
outlandish.
Please, answer all of this. Sorry.
Change
to the camera.
It's the whole world believes these things.
Okay, no, the whole world, well, he's saying something the whole world might enact, might do. He's talking about gender norms and patriarchal societies or whatever. He's saying things that are uncontroversial right now to most people because he wants to pull over moderates, but he's not a moderate. The things that he actually believes are very, very extreme. And when you get him on his podcast just talking, just him and his audience, you start to see the extreme stuff come out. The KKK went with the same tactics that he's doing right now. Back in the day, they used to say something that was really moderate, that would appeal to people that are not really on the right, not fully at least, or they would espouse a position that was not really on the right, and they would lean into it. Like, for example, back during segregation days, they'd tell children or whatever, they'd say, children, if integration happens, if we end segregation, children are going to have to marry black people. Your children are going to have to marry black people. They must. It's a mandate. That's part of integration. Men and women marrying each other. So it's not going to be like, well, they have the option. Integration is forcing people to do it. They're going to force you to marry a black person. And anybody in their right mind would say no to that. That's ridiculous. I don't want that. It's the same thing here with the whole trans thing. Anybody like with trans issues, they find some little wedge issue, some little thing that you'd have to be crazy not to accept and complain about it and claim that this is happening constantly. They're giving 6-year-olds gender-affirming surgery. They're giving them bottom surgery, 6-year-olds bottom surgery. No, they're not. That's not actually happening. Anybody in their right mind would be opposed to that. They do the same thing. When I say they, I'm talking about people to the right of, I'm just saying people that are really, really far right. That's who I'm talking about, people on the right. Here's another example. Are you in favor of partial birth abortion or post-birth abortion? Are you in favor of, on the 8th month and the 30th day, the 39th week and the 6th day, are you in favor of having an abortion? Are you in favor of post-birth abortion? No, nobody is. Nobody has ever been in favor of that. This is the same tactic the KKK has always used to try to pull over moderates. They take an absolutely absurd position and claim that the other side wants that thing, right? So, anyways, what he's saying here is nonsense. You can see this is a perfect example. The whole world believes this.
It's the whole world believes these things.
Yeah, the things that he's saying right now to the BBC are not really that controversial. That's not the problem. The things that he's saying right now were never the problem. No one ever had a problem with that stuff. People had a problem with the other stuff that came along with it. And he's pretending that that's what he's believed all along. Okay, I guess they're rethinking, doing the interview, I think. That's why I think all business wanted to shake their hands. I don't think they're getting these subtitles right. And every one of my sons from 5 as goes they're not getting the subtitles right. They're debating whether or not to continue the interview, apparently. Okay?
They smile and shake their hands, and they read one of the line excerpts from Black Mirror.
It's fine.
I can't really understand what they're saying right now.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
He needs her a lot more than she needs him, a lot more. And he knows that. So he's not going to end the interview. There's almost no chance he's going to end the interview because he's fully aware that she holds all the cards here.
I'm having a nice conversation with you. I'm enjoying it. So it's no problem. It's been fun so far.
People are okay. People are against culture.
He's got his weird little posse here that just sits around and like vouches for him and does what he wants. And God, it's just weird, dude.
It's fine.
Good.
We good?
Yes.
Tell me when.
Do you want to clap again?
No. We didn't stop, no?
I can do the clap. Now we good?
No, thank you. Thanks.
If a man broke into your
So I guess they were like reinitializing the cameras or whatever. Yeah, I do the whole clap thing too. It's kind of a break to show where things start and where things end and get kind of audio levels equalized and stuff.
the clap, now we good?
No, thank you. Thanks.
If a man broke into your house, wouldn't you want your husband to protect you?
There's a difference between conservative values.
No, I would want police to protect me. Let me tell you something about owning a gun, about protecting yourself or protecting whatever, whoever, whatever. Here's the thing. You don't want to be in a position where you have to protect yourself or somebody else with a gun. You don't want to be in that situation. You know why? If you find yourself in that situation, you failed somewhere along the way. It means the next thing that happens is going to be litigated and poured over by judges and lawyers for the next 20 years. Was your decision right? Did you make the right choice by pulling the trigger when you did? You get to sit in jail while a judge and a jury and lawyers decide that. The answer to that question. If you have to defend yourself with a gun at any point, you're in bad shape. You have messed up somewhere along the way, and you are in for, an ugly time, to say the least. You don't want to defend yourself with a gun, because it'll certainly be a split-second decision that you're making, right? Seems to me that it's like in the nature of defending yourself with anything. You're making split-second decisions. Do you really want your split-second decisions to be litigated and discussed and debated for the next 20 years while you sit in jail waiting for it to end? Of course you don't. You should never, ever try to defend yourself with a gun. If you're defending yourself with a gun, you've failed somewhere along the way. You should rely on police to defend you, plain and simple. Or you just shouldn't go to certain areas. The answer is not to start firing at people. That is absurd. And it's a good way to really ruin the rest of your life.
And emotional control, coercive control.
We're
Lack
talking
of
about
this-
protection. And I'm saying if someone broke into your house, would you want your husband to protect you?
It's not about conservative values or protection. It's what you're demanding in return for that.
Well, I'll give you this. I don't know who your husband is.
Right. That was a really good point you made. It's not about conservative values. Should people be protected or whatever? It's about what you're asking in return. It's about the fact that he's demanding that women subjugate themselves to him. They do whatever he tells them to do. That's really the issue here, ultimately, right? It's a really good point she made.
I don't know if he would stand up and protect you or die for you. But I'll give you this. If someone broke
Okay, let me step back a little bit. Listen again here.
Return for that.
Well, I'll give you this. I don't know if your husband is. I don't know if he would stand up and protect you or die for you. But I'll give you this. If someone broke into this house right now and was a homicidal maniac, I would expect me and the other men in this room to stand up and face them while you and the other women in this room could protect yourselves. I would.
Okay, do you know why women are usually protected when there's like a situation like this that's, something like a war or something? Do you know why? Because rape is commonly used as a weapon of war. That's why they evacuate women and children first in wartime, because they don't want to put them in a situation where they could be subjected to something like that. Now, what are the chances some homicidal maniac is going to bust into Andrew Tate's house and do something psychotic? Seriously, what are the chances that that's going to happen? And if it did happen, what are the chances the guy doesn't have a gun and he just wants to challenge Andrew Tate to hand-to-hand combat? What are the chances? Basically zero, seems to me, right? And in return for this thing that has a basically 0% chance of happening, Andrew Tate demands that women are in subjugation to him. He demands that women follow his orders like a dog or a child. That's really the problem here. That's what this is all about. That's what I'm complaining about right now.
I actually believe the men should go and engage the attacker. I believe that. And even though I don't know you, and you've come into my house with a hostile agenda, and you've come here to try and make me look bad, I would still stand up. I would still stand up to protect you. I would still stand up to protect you because I believe that's my role as a man.
I am asking you about things that you have said that have caused major national organizations, including the police, to worry about you by name. That's what I'm asking you
It's
about.
not what I say.
It's not about whether you protect your partner or not. It's about what you have said that has caused such concern in the UK. And I want to put it to you that you don't really care about the harm it caused.
That's not true.
Because
That's not true.
making controversial statements like this online has made you a lot of money.
Okay, so first thing, I genuinely am a force for good in the world. You may not understand.
No, he isn't. He's a force for evil. He has done more harm than good in the world, by far. Dramatically more harm than good in the world.
That yet, but you will eventually. And I genuinely believe I'm acting under the instruction of God to do good things, and I want to make the world a better place.
He may believe that. I don't know. I don't know if he believes it or not, but he's wrong if he does.
I genuinely believe my legacy is a good legacy. And I believe that eventually, when the legacy media catches up, they're going to understand I'm a good, positive influence. I'm not interested in damaging the world for money. Because if I was interested in damaging the world for money, I could have sold drugs. Or I could make rap music and encourage everyone to stab each other like all the drill artists do.
Or you can make controversial statements online that attract a lot of followers who you then direct to your website.
That's exactly what he does. Yep.
Where they pay.
I could make jokes. Sure.
Like
I mean, I could make jokes online. Who doesn't? I mean, I could make.
They're not jokes, though. That's the problem. If they were jokes, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'm not the joke police, honestly. I'm okay with edgy jokes. Hell, I'm okay with really edgy jokes, truthfully, as long as they're tasteful and they're not punching down at somebody, at some minority group that is, susceptible to being attacked or harmed or whatever. I'm okay with really edgy jokes. But that's not what we're discussing right now. That's not the problem. The problem is Andrew Tate setting out to make things worse for the people around him. Maybe that's not his goal. That's the end result. And pretending that that's not what's happening.
Are you saying that all the controversial things you said are jokes?
No, I'm saying that these organizations and the BBC who are going to sit here and pretend that I am the face of damaging the youth is absolutely garbage.
No, that's true.
It's completely disingenuous. And the reason.
I'm sorry, we have agreed to do an interview where you are going to ask questions that are going to give us the opportunity to clarify some things. These are very loaded questions. And so far, I'm sorry, I have patience and I'm talking right now.
So she says, we thought you were going to ask honest questions. These are all loaded questions, basically, is what the person in the background said. Andrew Tate is not going to end the interview early, I don't think. Or at least he's going to get plenty of time in talking because he knows he needs this attention desperately. This is the uncut version. Apparently, the BBC was basically doing a piece on him, and they did like a 10-minute thing where they talked about like the interview basically, and he released the full interview, which is like 37 minutes long rather than like 10.
So these are very loaded questions, and this is not
very loaded questions. Yeah, the subtitles are off apparently. It's not what we discussed. Did they discuss beforehand what they were going to talk about?
what we discussed, and this is not a conversation that
we were very clear that the questions
you're sitting there and just accusing. We're not here to face new allegations. This is all. So
you're sitting there and he's not facing new allegations. I'm not sure what she's saying exactly or who this person is.
Discussed. Answers have been provided, so if we could please move on from this side of the interview, I would appreciate it.
I would like to hear what Andrew's got to say about the fact that when you make controversial statements, it attracts people to follow you, and then you direct them to your website where they pay you a monthly fee to learn how to be like you.
Yep, that's called Hustlers University, and it's basically an MLM.
And so the more controversial statements you make, the more money you get.
It's basically a pyramid scheme for all intents and purposes, although not technically a pyramid scheme, because he's actually selling something to them. Like in a pyramid scheme, you're not selling anything. You're just taking advantage of people. So an MLM is structured much like a pyramid, but they have an actual product. Like Mary Kay is an MLM. That's an example of an MLM, a multi-level marketing scheme. And it's all garbage. It's all nonsense and disgusting, and it's all intended to take advantage of people.
The fact that that's the path you've outlined to, one, my online university, and two, my presence on the internet, the fact that you believe that's the path just shows you've done absolutely zero research.
No, she did plenty. No, she knows exactly what was said, like what Andrew Tate has said online. Like an impressive amount, honestly. There was some deep lore in there that I had to dig deep to find, actually. She knew exactly what she was talking about. She did all of her research.
Genuinely zero research.
Okay, so how many of the people who sign up for Hustlers University come to you through your social media?
Genuinely zero research.
How many of the
See, she even knew the name of it and everything. She knows what she's talking about.
people who sign up for Hustlers University come to you through your social media, where you direct them to the website?
And Lucy, I encourage you to go out there, do some genuine research, watch my videos, of course, watch my videos at length, and truly understand what I'm doing.
How many of the people who sign up for Hustlers University at $49.99 a month come to you because they see your social media comments?
Such a ripoff, dude. Like I said, it's effectively a multi-level marketing scheme where people get taken advantage of. Honestly, disgusting.
Online school called Hustlers University, which I don't own. I influence for, along with many other influencers. And they sign up for your website, which I don't own. And once again,
look, he may not outright own it because he's working with others, but he owns a stake in it, and he shouts it out. It's part of his brand, Hustlers University. It's part of his whole bit that he's, promoted since the beginning.
Once again, that's nothing to do with me. And you're going to sit here and say that I make...
Oh, bullshit, it has nothing to do with him. This guy has done nothing but lie through this entire thing. Are you kidding me?
A joke.
You were the
I made a joke online 4 years ago because a woman said that she owned her man's car, and you made a joke, and that means that you, because you have Bugatti, are the most misogynistic, dangerous man in the world. This is going down a path of absolute insanity. It's not true. None of this is true. I don't hurt people. I don't harm people. I'm genuinely a positive influence.
No, he's not a positive influence.
I'm renowned
for offensive and controversial.
That's not why I'm renowned. I'm actually renowned. I'm actually renowned for helping young men, because we talk about there's a men's mental health crisis, and we pretend to care that men are upset. As soon as I discuss men's issues, it's misogynistic. It doesn't have to be gender. Just because I believe men have a point of view and men have rights and men are allowed to think and believe and act a certain way.
Nobody disagrees with that. Men have rights. Men are allowed to believe and think any way they want. That's not a problem. He's twisting this around to be something, again, that moderates agree with. Something that the middle of the road could get on board with, just like the KKK. You shouldn't be forced to marry a black person. That's unreasonable. 6-year-olds should not receive bottom surgery if they think that they're trans. 6-year-olds. You shouldn't be able to get an abortion at 39 weeks and 6 days. These are all positions that literally every human being in the United States holds. But they put the other side on the back foot by claiming that they don't hold those positions, that they do believe, the left does believe that you should be able to get an abortion at 39 weeks and 6 days, or hell, make it after birth. Why not? Absurd. Nobody believes this stuff. And it's the exact tactic the KKK used all through the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Hell, they're still doing it. Same tactic. Because it appeals to moderates. It's the same garbage recycled over and over and over again. It doesn't have to be... Listen to what he said again.
Discuss men's issues. It's misogynistic. It doesn't have to be gender. Just because I believe men have a point of view and men have rights and men are allowed to think and believe and act a certain way that helps them internally, that doesn't mean it's anti-female. No,
it doesn't. That's not what you're doing, is the thing.
In fact, I believe it's actually pro-female. I think when a man is true to his influence and true to his essence, and he's good within himself, he's a positive influence in the world, and he's positive for the women around him.
So
Yeah, absolutely agreed. I 100% agree. It's, you know, I was a single dad for many years. No longer. I have a wife that helps me out a lot. But I would take my kid to the little play place at the mall sometimes. And I would go there and I'd sit down and I'd, you know, be reading or watching her play or whatever. And people would call the cops on me. You know why? Because it doesn't make sense that a man is sitting there watching kids play at a play place. That makes no sense at all. Why would a man be there? Women are expected to be the caretakers. This seems like a men's rights issue. Men should be allowed to take care of their kids too. It's not a men's rights issue. It's a women's rights issue. Women shouldn't be viewed as the caretakers every single time. Shouldn't be like that. So, yeah, I agree. If you're actually helping, you know, men be better people, absolutely, yes, this helps women too. I'm all for it. I am on board. That's not what you're doing. You're teaching young boys like middle schoolers to treat women like they are a dog or like they're property otherwise. Disgusting.
As I discuss men's issues, people say, oh, you're anti-woman. I'm not anti-woman. I love women.
why are so many
I'm not anti-women. I love women. Oh, God, dude. Why? You're a tick. This guy is something else, man. Something else.
women saying that when their boyfriends start following you,
They're not.
they experience more control,
So many.
they experience
How many?
more abuse?
How many?
Enough.
Enough. Well, that's the first time I've heard of it. So, in fact,
One is too many.
oh, of course, yeah. So, in fact, I've seen thousands and thousands of comments and have endless emails from women praising
Doesn't that worry you?
praising the fact that their sons are listening to me,
Does it not
praising
worry
the
you?
fact that their
The
husbands.
things I'm saying,
God, that's disturbing.
does not worry you.
It would worry. It would
You're
worry.
concerned about
It
You're-
would worry me if I was genuinely damaging the world. But for you to sit here and say, Andrew, you've become the most Googled man in the world, you have billions of views, and one woman, is now saying that her husband is not the same man she wants him to be, when thousands and thousands of people are saying the opposite, well, then I would say
I
that that's...
presented you with case after case after case, with quote after quote after quote of people who are genuinely concerned about the impact you're having, and you brush it off as if it's nothing.
No, what you have done is come here with an agenda. You've come here with loaded questions. You've come here with things taken out of context. You come here with things that you don't understand are rhetorical. And then you're going to also sit and say that one woman said that her boyfriend changed when he watched one of your videos. And then I don't know what you expect me to say to that. That's
sarcastic and jokes.
No.
That's how you explain
no,
the comments you
no,
make.
for you to sit down.
Would you like to apologise for any of that?
For you to sit down. For you to sit down.
Hold on. Let me step back. Listen to what she said again.
No.
That's how you explain
No,
the comments you
no,
make.
for you to sit down.
Would you like to apologise for any of that?
For you.
You're not trying to apologize for any of that. Or do you want to apologize for any of that? And he, like, laughs at the idea, apparently.
To sit down. For you to sit down. It's fine. No, it's fine. It's easy. For you to sit down and say that one.
See, he doesn't want to end the interview because he knows that he needs her more than she needs him.
Woman said that her boyfriend watched an Andrew Tate video and now he won't do the dishes. Or whatever your argument is. And that I'm somehow the world's most dangerous man in the world because I have a car. It's just disingenuous. And I'm
So he's twisting it around to be something that it's not. He's pretending that because somebody doesn't want to do the dishes, he's being blamed for that. That's not the problem. The problem is the rampant misogyny that you have manufactured in society.
enjoying this interview very much because this shows the world. It's great. It shows the world the truth about the legacy media because they beg me for interviews. They beg me. You have been begging me for months.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Not anymore. I mean, at one point, probably.
Please, we need to be relevant. And then you come here with loaded questions trying to paint a picture of me, which is completely and utterly false. I am a good positive influence for the world. The things I teach men are stoicism, discipline, self-respect, hard work, obeying authority, listening to your fight coach, working hard. And
You notice that he slipped that in, obeying authority. I promote obeying authority. And of course, a man has authority over a woman, right? Naturally, in his mind.
school. making as much money as possible in your job. If you actually watch the things I say, if you actually watch my comments about women, I've done long podcasts for hours long about females, talking about protecting for them, providing for them.
Female.
How I believe women should be treated in a relationship. I've done all of this, but you don't watch any of it, and then you come here and ask me that, answer questions I've answered at length thousands of times.
Since you came out of custody, there seems to have been a lot about your charity work.
Correct.
On your social media.
I've always done the charity work, but now I'm promoting it.
There seems to be a real shift.
Yeah.
I wonder what's behind that.
Well, I've always done the charity work. I've been doing the charity work for years. I believe that it's my...
Well, what she's saying is that you're doing more of it now. Why? I don't care if you claim you've always done charity or whatever. That's irrelevant. We're asking why you're doing more now.
legacy to leave a positive influence on the world, and I've been doing charity work for over 5 years. Post my incarceration, my unfair, unjust incarceration, may I add.
It was not unfair or unjust. It's 100% justified.
Post that, I've made it more clear the charity work I'm doing. But this is, again, once again, very interesting. I spend $25 million a year feeding children, men, male children, and female children in Turkey and Syria.
Female.
And Iran and Iraq. I literally spend $25 million a year feeding children. And I'm still the worst man in the world because 4 years ago I made a sarcastic comment.
Because some
They were not sarcastic comments. They were deadpan, serious comments that this guy made.
people would look at that and say, okay, so before you got money from attracting people to your website by making controversial comments, but that might have got you into trouble. And so now you're looking for a new market. You're looking for a new market of followers who are attracted by a different sort of persona.
I've always done the charity work, so that is obviously incorrect. And
Well, he's doing a lot more of it now. I don't know if he ever did charity work, but apparently he's doing a lot of charity work now.
Proof that I've always done the charity work. So you're wrong, firstly. I believe that if you have a lot of wealth, you should help people, and I'm helping people. I also think it's very, very interesting that you could not find another celebrity in the UK or anywhere else who's spending £25 million a year feeding children in war-torn countries. I'm doing that, and I've been doing that for a long time.
Like, is any of this even true? Like, he's proven that he's full of it with just about everything, so I'm not even convinced, like, what he's saying right now is true.
Without even mentioning it. I never even said it. And now that I've said it, people are going to attack me for it and say that it's disingenuous. The person in Sudan who's eating the meal, do you think they believe it's disingenuous? No, I think they feel pretty good that Andrew Tate fed them. And to sit here and say that I'm a bad person now because I'm manipulating charity, because I'm using charity, I'm just trying to do good in the world. That's all I've ever been trying to do.
BS. He has not just been trying to do good in the world. He has only ever used it as a means to an end. Using it to improve his image or to whatever. It's always been about him. It's always been about improving his material situation in some way.
When women speak out against you online, disagree with what you say, they describe being bombarded with rape threats, death threats, trolling by your followers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. His followers are insane. Now, granted, he can't control what his followers do. I will give him that. But he can at least discourage his followers from being psychotic little nutcases. I mean, I tell my followers all the time, and I'll say it again, don't be psychotic little nutcases who are attacking people. Don't attack people online, okay? Don't do it. It's not good. It's not helpful, productive. Like, for example, Ken Ham, don't attack people. Okay, don't mistreat them. Don't insult them. I never insult somebody online if I can help it. If I say something negative about somebody, then it's not intended as an insult. It's intended as an honest assessment about their personality or persona or whatever. I try really hard not to insult people. It's important to me. So I'm telling my audience, don't insult people. See how easy that is? Is Andrew Tate going to do the same? Of course not, because he insults people constantly. He's in favor of it. He wants to hurt others that don't like him or that have a problem with him or whatever.
Would you like to say anything to your followers about how to behave in that situation?
Absolutely.
There you go. So here's his opportunity, right?
Correct. I would love to do that. First things first, I've yet to see a female stand up and argue with me online. I don't ever
female.
See hardly any. Well, only women who message me agree with me. Secondly, I don't think that anybody who disagrees with me, male or female, should be trolled. I don't think they should be insulted or attacked. I think the ideas should be discussed openly and fairly and maturely. It doesn't matter if a man agrees with me or disagrees with me, or a female. I don't think my followers should come along and attack her. And if my followers are doing that, I'm upset by that. But let's make a very important clarification. That's not my followers. That's the internet. If you were to log into any video game lobby, I don't play video games, and someone were to sit there and say something stupid, they would be trolled with similar comments. That's the unfortunate reality of the internet as a whole. That's nothing to do with me.
I don't know about that. It does have to do with Andrew Tate. Like, he can take steps to prevent this stuff from happening. He can take responsibility and discourage people from doing that kind of thing, just like I did. Now, granted, he did just say, I don't think that people should do that. So you got to give him props for that one. Unfortunately, they're still doing it, so.
But I encourage all of my followers to engage in open discourse and be fair and honest and talk in a way which is mature. There's no need to troll anybody, male or
female.
Okay. And other things.
I'm actually happy with that. Although I know that he's going to turn around and do a live stream with his audience and say, yeah, that's all bullshit, guys. Like, you can feel free to, like, attack people if they're being stupid. He probably won't say it exactly that way, but that's effectively what he's going to say. I'd be willing to bet.
I wonder if you were giving Andrew one more opportunity.
I want to know if you give Andrew the opportunity to
consider whether or not he would like to
consider whether or not he'd like to apologize
or give an indication of how he feels about the allegations that he has negatively influenced young people.
So it's somebody in the background. I think what they're saying is, I wanted to know if you want to give Andrew an opportunity to apologize for or address the allegations, basically, against him. Like, he can go on record about this, I guess, is what they're implying.
Secondly, I think we should put on record that this interview is taking place in your house because you're under house arrest. If it were not for that, then you would have chosen another location, I'm sure.
So, and they're saying, oh, wow, my shield is badly damaged. I'm actually surprised. Like, this shield, this is the Hylian shield. It's lasted, like, forever so far. It's crazy. Anyway, so it sounds like they're saying, we want to give Andrew Tate an opportunity to apologize if he chooses. We are only at this location at his house in the first place because he's under house arrest.
So I think that's just what.
Okay. So just to put on the record then, you've said that you've invited us into your house.
Correct.
We're here because you're under house arrest.
Correct.
If you were free to leave, we would have negotiated a more neutral setting.
Don't you think, as the BBC, it would be very interesting to come here and discuss the fact that I was put in a dungeon for 92 days and then locked in house arrest without charge? Don't you think that's a far more interesting conversation than
No, not really. I think I think it was totally the correct decision. It was totally right for them to have done that, to put him in jail. Not everybody. I don't think that's right for everybody. As a matter of fact, I think that is kind of a human rights abuse. Or at the very least, it's like it's taking advantage of the situation. It's taking advantage of the system. And people shouldn't be held without charge, period, in my opinion. They shouldn't be held without charge. But Andrew Tate, I think that one was justified, personally.
YouTube snippets? Don't you think that would be interesting?
You're here.
See, that, again, here's another example, yet another example of him using a moderate argument to pull people over to the far right, right? He's complaining that he didn't get charged with, or he hasn't been charged, and he's been held without charge temporarily. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with it with everybody else, though. He's trying to pull people over to his side by appealing to moderates.
You're under house arrest because there's an ongoing investigation into rape and human trafficking allegations against you.
Correct. I've been incarcerated without charge. And don't you think
The rape allegation
it's been dropped?
has been incarcerated for.
Correct. So I'm incarcerated without charge, and I think that'd be a far more interesting conversation than I guess Julian Assange is incarcerated.
For a short time he was. I have no problem with it for Andrew Tate specifically.
without charge, and nobody's interested in that either. So if you actually want to do some genuine journalism and investigation, we could talk about the fact that an innocent man who is yet to be charged with a crime has had his liberty deprived of him. And I think that would be a far more interesting angle than talking about me being the most dangerous man in the world because I own the car.
He didn't have his liberty deprived for no reason. There was a very, very good reason. Other people, I'm not sure the system should exist generally, but there is a perfectly valid reason for it for Andrew Tate, so no complaints.
And this question about schools being very worried about your influence.
Yeah.
Boys in primary school, or boys as young as 11 are quoting you at school,
Yeah.
attacking girls, refusing to respect female teachers.
Yeah.
Would you like to say anything about that?
I'd like to say a lot. First things first, as I've repeatedly said, and the only reason I keep repeating it is because I'm sure this interview will be edited. I am a positive force for the world. I teach children discipline. I teach the world discipline, male or female, of any age. And a lot of women
Female.
listen to me as well. 40% of the people who listen to me are actually female. Secondly, I do understand with my massive influence, and I am now the one of the most influential people on the planet, that I do have to be.
Not anymore. At one point, he temporarily had more attention than, like, Donald Trump or Joe Biden or whatever. But he's lost a lot of influence, a lot of attention, so.
Slightly more careful with things I say. I'm not going to disagree with that. The idea that I said something 5 years ago on a video that got 300 views.
So what do you mean, being slightly more careful?
I'll give you an example. Some of the jokes I made 4 or 5 years ago on a YouTube channel that got 300 views, I would no longer make.
Like what?
Like the OnlyFans joke. The one you mentioned.
Like what OnlyFans joke?
Repeat. She said, my man's car is my car. And then she said she did OnlyFans. And I said, what do you saw on OnlyFans? She said, my tits. And I said, well, those are your man's tits. As a joke. Ha.
No, that was not a joke. He's repeated that over and over and over again. Maybe it was a joke in that moment, but he meant it. And the way that I know that he meant it, he repeated it later. He says this stuff over and over and over again. There is no joke here. He wants it to appear that way so that moderates will side with him. Absurd.
Everybody laughed. The fact that I could do that on a podcast 5 years ago and it only got 300 views, now I understand I'm the most influential man on the face of the planet. I would be more careful with certain
God, he's so full of himself, dude.
things I say. That doesn't mean the things I originally said were genuinely out to harm people.
Do you really believe you're the most influential man on the face of the planet?
I'm the most Google person on the planet.
Do you believe?
No, he was temporarily for a moment.
Person on the planet.
Do you believe you're the most influential man on the face of the planet?
I'm the most Googled man on the planet.
I think we're done.
Dude, I get the impression she's absolutely disgusted with him. Like, he is an absolutely just like, you want to take a shower after walking out of there because he's just slimy to be around, you know? That's the impression that I'm getting from the look that she's giving right now. Just the things that he said, the things that he's done are truly evil, man. Just disgusting and evil. How can you possibly justify some of this stuff? Seriously. It just blows me away. Yeah, looks like that's the end of the interview.
Thanks, Lucy. It was enjoyable. Nice to meet you.
Yep, that's the end. And he's smiling, and she is not, seemingly. Anyway, yeah, let me know what you think about it. I don't know why the BBC even gave him this opportunity. I think it was dumb of them. They should have just let him deal with the fact that nobody wants his attention. No one wants to give him more attention either. Just disgusting. Let me know what you think in the comments.